The Oscars have come and they have gone. What's y'all's opinion on this Oscars, man? I'll say this. Conan O'Brien did a really good job. And I also want to say this, 'cause I didn't say this for the last couple of years. It is really difficult to do a hosting gig for the Oscars. They make it look really easy, but there's a lot that goes into it. Like being notified you're doing it way ahead of time. Also having a really talented group of writers around you. Like it's a lot of that kind of stuff. So I forgot. I always forget the comedian's name, bro. The dude who did it and like pretty much kind of like did a terrible job. Like he kind of bombed. Oh man, is it Joe Coy? Joe Coy? Joe Coy. Yeah, he did. He did Oscars. I forgot what year. I forgot how long ago it is now. But it was like, come on, man. It's a hard gig, and something always happens to the Oscars every year. I feel like this year was there's a lot of stuff happened before, but it didn't happen during. Like during, it felt like a really smooth program. It felt like everything kind of went on schedule. The everyone who I thought was gonna win for the most part won. I had a lot of hopefuls. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. One of my biggest complaints about the Oscars, right, is that they just like sometimes with the Grammys, like most of these voting things go, it's like they just completely neglect certain movies that just have no business being neglected. Like Dune Part Two. I'm not even. This is gonna be controversial. I'm not even a Dune fan, but I can recognize that it's a great movie. Like I'm not stupid. Like it's a great movie, and it had every right to be in here, especially what happened with the release of the first one. So the second one was a great chance at redemption, and I just don't understand how you just completely act like it didn't exist. And that, my friends, for the people who are fans of Dune Part Two and feel this way, and I'm not even a fan, so for me it's like it's really whatever. But like, I'm also just pissed at more the fact of like this is a thing that Academy does, and this is how superhero fans have felt for a very long time. The only vindication I ever felt about this was when the first Joker movie won, and I was like, great, that right there, like that is finally recognizing like, yeah, it is a quote unquote comic book movie if you want to call it that, but it's like it's still like objectively it's a very great film with some great acting, great directing, like great everything, and it got recognized properly, right? And Dune Part Two should have gotten recognized. I just feel like it really didn't. And I don't think it won a single thing, and that's just crazy. Um, Adrian Brody, man, he is one of my favorite actors of all time. I loved him in Winning Time. I loved him. I think he was like had a small part in Secession. I think he was like playing like some rich CEO or something like that. I forgot what season it was. Maybe season three. But I liked him that little very limited time was in it. It's just like when he's on screen, he does really well. He was an antagonist in Peaky Blinders. I forgot what season that was, but he was really great that season. I think he was like his acting was just so on point that season. I think it was the same season that had Tom Hardy heavily featured in it, if I'm not mistaken. But I still to say that he's one of my favorite actors. I have not seen The Brutalist yet. I really need to get around to it. A lot of my friends have seen it and said great things about it. I will get to it. I promise. It's just a very long time, and I'm going to get to it. But seeing him win was great. I think out of all of them, I'm happy that he won the most. Um, Nothing against Timothy, right? Like nothing against him. I just feel like he did a like from what I've heard, from I've seen, like from what I've seen to Dune, like bro, he that is way better acting, I think, than what he did in that Bob Dylan movie, A Complete Unknown. I just feel like if he was going to be recognized, or not even recognized, but nominated for one of them, it really should have been for Dune Part Two. I don't know how it's not for Dune Part Two versus A Complete Unknown. I just feel like the push and the marketing for that was more like effort than Dune Part Two was, and also obviously the Academies didn't for whatever reason give a shit about Dune Part Two, and I think that's very weird. Um, Anora won big. And I mean, the director won 4 Academy Awards in one night for one film. Crazy. That's like Kendrick Lamar going and winning not 5 Grammys for Not Like Us. Like he was like Anora won big. Mikey Madison, shout out to Mikey Madison, bro. Like went big, and it's funny because I know people who disliked Anora, like disliked that movie by a lot. I know people who really liked it. No, I know people who liked it, but I didn't know anyone personally that like was over the moon about Honora. I have people that hated it, people that thought it was cool, but not like, hey, this is an Oscar-winning film. With that being said, I'm not mad at it. I'm completely fine. But I'm not gonna lie. I really felt bad for Sebastian Stan. I felt bad for Coleman Domingo. I felt I'm forgetting the gentleman's name who's his co-lead in Sing Sing, and I felt bad for Sing Sing. Like I just felt, and Nickel Boys too. Like dude, there was some great, like there was some really interesting artsy films this year. This year really felt like there was no like clear contender, even though Dune Part 2 should have. I'm not gonna lie, bro. Dune Part 2 and Challengers should have swept the Oscars this year. Like with the competition I was currently in, Dune Part 2 and Challengers and Sing Sing should have went ham. Should have went ham this Oscars, bro. It should have even been a competition, bro. Like, in my personal opinion, this year's Oscars was one of the weaker ones in terms of what was in there. Great individual performances. I just think that the movies that really should have dominated weren't even considered, and that's crazy. That's crazy. Also, and I'm being very honest about this, I know for whatever reason a lot of people, I guess, hated Civil War, the movie. I thought it should have been recognized too. I'm surprised Civil War like got hated that much. I thought it was a really well acted film. I felt like it was a really great ride. I felt like I really liked the war journalist aspect. I don't know. I thought it was a really great film, and apparently no one thought so. There was zero hype for Challengers, and Challengers got recognized here and there during the award season, but not nearly enough for how well edited and just overall how well of a film that really was. And I think that it's one of those films, as soon as I saw it, I really let it marinate. It was one of those films I saw in theaters that I already knew was going to get, maybe not snubbed at the Oscars. I thought it was going to win Best Editing, but I knew it was going to be appreciated like it should have been until way later. Like I think in a couple of years when people are going back, like when Zendaya wins an Oscar, right? I think people are going to go back and watch our catalog. And I think that we're going to look back at Challengers and be like, that's a movie that should have been celebrated way more, and it just wasn't. Kind of how I feel about, well, I like Get Out way more, obviously, but how I feel about Get Out, every time I watch it or look at it on my shelf, I have it on Blu-ray, it's like, I look at it, I'm like, you should have won Best Picture that year. And every actor, bro, every actor on the bill should have won an award. I know it wasn't possible, but it was like, bro, Get Out was a phenomenal movie. And I know there was stiff competition that year, but dude, every time I watch Get Out, I'm like, nah, this Jordan Peele was on one, bro. Like, this is a movie that's like a once in a lifetime type of movie with the acting, directing, execution, like all across the board. For a horror movie, especially, like, that's fire. Emilia Perez, I'm happy it didn't win shit. Zoe Saldana, I really like her as an actress, and I feel so bad because I just wish she wouldn't for any other movie besides this one because of how poorly received it was, and basically how the last like month of anything surrounding this movie was nothing but like anger because of her fellow co-star. And so it was a celebration for her. She was obviously happy, and she should be. I get it, all that good stuff. Like, she deserves an Oscar for sure. But I just wish it was a movie that like was actually really liked and well received and would be respected. Because I'm telling you, that movie is going to age poorly. Like, it's already poorly received now. In 10 years from now, people are going to be like, Why was this made? That's the kind of movie that's going to be. So when you have a movie like that, how someone wins an award from that kind of movie is very interesting. But hey, it happens. I'm not mad about it. I'm mad that I'm happy that the movie itself did not win shit. Because if it would have won Best Picture, I would have been all right. Oscars, thank you very much. No, no, no. Last year watching this. Again, so going back to Nora winning Best Picture, I'm very surprised. It's one of those things where I saw the buzz going. I'm like, nah, Nora has a really good chance of winning. But when Adrian Brody won, I was very surprised. I was like, oh, the Brutalist might really take it. It might really take it, and it didn't. I'm very surprised. Because when people were saying about that film, like, it just seemed like something really good. Like, kind of how, like, people thought this, like, Tonight, like, a couple of months ago, people thought Tonight would be Denzel's night to win his next Oscar, by how Gladiators 2 was being pushed with his performance, and that movie disappeared into the shadow realm of forgettable movies, just like they did with Challengers and Dune Part 2, for whatever reason. Now, Gladiators 2 is not a better movie, in my opinion, than Challengers or Dune Part 2, but I'm saying in terms of just like the Academy collectively being like, fuck this movie, they did it with that movie too. Again, I'm gonna scream from the rooftops, man. Sing Sing, shout out to you. Sing Sing this year was how I felt, I think, yeah, how I felt last year about American Fiction, where I was like, this is a movie that really speaks to me as an individual, a movie that I'm going to have on Blu-ray for damn sure is going to join my physical collection. I'm very cautious and careful with collecting physical discs, because I used to be just like collect everything, but no, I was like, let me just collect things I love, like not like love, like things I'm a huge rewatcher. I love rewatching shit. So I was like, so I actually get miles out of my Blu-rays, but like there'll be times where I buy stuff and never opens. Like I've opened, I need to get another one. I gotta use one when FYE was still a thing. I bought I Am Legend. I abused the hell. I watched that shit so many times. I still have my PS5 with the disc drive attached to it, so I can watch physical media, and it's freaking awesome. So yes, the Brutalist. I plan to watch it like now for sure, because Adrian Brody is like one of the actors where like if I could have like if I could have any actor in my podcast, he's one of the actors at the top that I would love to just speak to and really pick his brain apart about his craft and what he thinks are some of the most underrated skill sets an actor can have. So I was happy for him. Mikey Madison is another person I want to talk to, just because I'm very curious about. I know there's a lot of interviews out there. I don't really watch too many because I just in my brain hope one day I can talk to these people and just kind of get it myself. But even if it's not recorded, like even if it's like a private call, like, I just really want to understand some of their processes. I think it's super interesting to me. But I'm not mad at Anora winning. I'm surprised because the way my friends talked about it, I was like, okay, maybe this movie's like not good. I don't know. And then I saw the buzz. I saw it win, and then I saw it win tonight. I was like, okay, that's dope. I'm so surprised a Brutalist didn't win. I'm not surprised that Timothée Chalamet didn't win, because I just think that we're not going to give it to him. I think if they were intending to give him an Oscar this year or tonight, it would have been for Dune Part 2. And they completely said, forget all the youngins. Like, I think for Best Actress, shout out to Mikey Madison. For Best Actress, I really think that her, Mikey Madison, and Jennifer Lawrence are the only two actors born in the 1900s, in the 1990s to win Best Actress. I usually it goes to like, I think what Emma Stone won it last year, and I think she definitely was born in the 80s. So it's very interesting. It's very interesting to see that. That usually goes to older people. So to see it now, like, hey, different. Like, it's been a minute since Jennifer Lawrence won an Oscar. So I guess it's not like back to back. It has to kind of be back to back before we're like, hey, the new generation of actors and actresses are now starting to take the space. And it's funny also to see how many people were missing from the crowd because Christopher Nolan is filming like on the other side of the planet, and like half of Hollywood's in his movie, so like they're all just not there and gone. And I think that's funny. Also, I think Zendaya is filming Euphoria season 3, so there's a lot of people who I thought was gonna be there, and like none of them are there because they're all busy working. And I think that's hilarious, like very hilarious. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. There was so much. There's so much. And again, shout out to Conan O'Brien. I think he did an amazing job. I think his jokes were on point. Shout out to his writers. Did an amazing overall job. I could see him getting another. I can see him going back to back in hosting gigs, but I don't know. His performance as host was one of those ones where I'm like, he did so good. It was so like it was just so well crafted for what everything that was going on, and there was so much to tackle. And he did such a systematically great job to the point where it's like, I don't know if I. It's like I don't. I want to say this is one of the best host jobs for the Oscars, and not have him back like again next year. It sounds so backwards and weird, but like, you know what it is? I feel like Jimmy Kimmel was one of those hosts, just like how Ricky Gervais was for the Golden Globes, where it's like you just fit this to the point where like I can just put you every year, and I know what I'm getting from you, and I know it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be just fine. You know, like I think like yeah, this is gonna be really good. You have interviewed 90% of the people in this room. They love you. Cool. Conan did a really good. You know who I want to see next year? John Mulaney. I think John Mulaney could do an amazing job. I think he could do an amazing job for the host gig next year. But I loved Conan. Conan, shout out to Conan, man. One of my favorite talk show hosts. Oh no, is he my favorite talk show host? Conan O'Brien's up there. I don't know who my favorite is, but you know what? I'm gonna give my favorite talk show host to Conan O'Brien. I think I really liked the Conan show. I was really sad that I was gone. Funny enough, I've never watched after he like retired from TBS. I haven't watched like actually locked in and watched interviews anymore. Like I really liked the show. So comment, like, subscribe, and share. Let me know your thoughts on this year's Oscars. Let me know if there's any surprises for you. Let me know how you felt about Anora basically sweeping the competition. Let me know what you think about the Brutalist and some of those movies I haven't seen, man. Because I was surprised it didn't win Best Picture. I really thought it was going to win. And I'm really shocked about Dune Part 2. Sad about Sing Sing. Not surprised, but sad about Sing Sing and Nickel Boys and some other ones. So, yep, come like and share. See you on the next one. Peace. Shout out to Adrian Brody, man. Shout out to the guy.